Welcome to the Grind to Greatness podcast, where we dive deep into the world of relentless determination, hard work, and unwavering dedication to help you unlock your full potential. We're your hosts, Jonathan and Joseph, and your mentors along this journey to greatness. Each week, we'll bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips where we've turned our dreams into reality through sheer grit and resilience. Whether you're looking to excel in your career, improve your health and well-being, or simply level up in life, this podcast is your go-to source for strategies, motivation, and the mindset needed to achieve personal excellence. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Grind to Greatness. This episode is brought to you by Facts Over Fads Nutrition. Are you tired of falling for the latest fad diets that promise the world but leave you hungry, frustrated, and stuck right where you're started? It's time to ditch the gimmicks and discover Facts Over Fads. At Facts Over Fads, we believe in real food, real coaching, and real results. Our expert coaches create personalized meal plans, workout routines, and daily habits tailored to your lifestyle. And the best part, it's all conveniently available through our user-friendly app. Need a little extra motivation or guidance? With 24/7 communication access to your coach, we're with you every step of the way. Whether it's for a quick question, a pep talk, or just to celebrate your progress. This isn't just another quick fix. It's sustainable, science-backed approach to becoming the best version of you. Why wait? Head to factsoverfads.com to start your journey today. Jonathan.
What up?
What's up, brother?
Man, I am gratefully unsatisfied. Haven't said that in a while, man. Just gonna need that reminder.
I love it. I love it. It is season 7, episode 6, Q&A, Destroy the Naysayers, Leave No Doubt. That's from Remember the Titans.
And it's 30 degrees in here.
Yeah, I got a heater right here, bro.
I know, you lucky dude.
Yeah, I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled. I'm the guest on the podcast.
How was your week, man?
My week, bro. My week was pretty good. Had a lot of calls. A lot of clients crushing it. I don't know if I ever told you. I had this really client who was very difficult. And I could have sworn within 3 weeks she was going to fire me. And I don't know what happened, but something clicked when I told her, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
I shot her a text.
You did?
No.
Nice. Perfect. I appreciate that. And when I told her that on the call, I just kind of saw like this light bulb go off. Because we were just arguing about how like she was going to just stay the same. She's like, these are my recipes. This is my routine. This is that. And I was like, it's not working. We got to change something.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? Like, I want you to eat more protein, you fight me on that. I wanted you to add in more water, you fight me on that. I wanted you to do more workouts, you fought me on that. I wanted to try different, simpler recipes, you fought me on that. You know, I'm like thinking this. Yeah. And but then I just said like, hey, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And bro, now she's proactive. She's like, hey, I need your calendar. Like, I need to book out some more calls.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this meal prep place. And we have a partnership with Clean Eats. Shout out to Clean Eats. Maybe Clean Eats could be a sponsor. But we have a partnership with Clean Eats. There's one right here in Round Rock, right by the new Crunch Fitness. And it's a meal prep service. All the calories, all the macros are on it. But she's vegetarian, but sometimes she'll eat seafood. And so I reached out to the owner of Clean Eats in San Antonio because he's a friend. And I was like, hey, man, can you, like, I can't find your vegetarian options online, like on your menu online. Can you tell me what you got in store? So he's sending me all the pictures of the meals in his refrigerator. And I sent them to her. She's like, awesome. I'm going to go get them. I'm going to go try them. And so, yeah, like little wins like that, where like I feel like a client's going to fall off track or they're going to fire me or whatever. And then they just fucking do a 180 the other direction.
Yeah.
They're like all in, leaning in, all this stuff. She was like 2 pounds down last week. And so I was like, hell yeah.
That reminds me, sometimes people just need to, when we talk, we say the same things over and over, right?
Over and over.
And sometimes I'm like, man, why do we keep saying the same thing, right? What are we doing? Could we figure some things out, make it fresh, make it clean? And it's no. We need to keep saying the same things over and over again because you may need to hear it for the 10th or 100th time before it clicks. It may take you 3 months or 6 months of hearing the same message, but it also is very situational on your situation of where you're at for it to click. For sure. Because when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, when you're at your lowest moment and you hear the things you've heard 1,000 times, but you weren't down here, that's when light bulbs happen. That's when things fucking shift.
When the pain of staying the same,
oh, bro,
is when the pain of staying the same is more painful than change.
Yeah.
that's when you'll change.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I think that's kind of like where people kind of try so many weight loss gimmicks because it's just so painful where they're at. They've tried everything. And so let's just go more extreme, more this, more that. But then we realize like you have to be able to, when you make change, it's going to be painful, but it has to be a level of pain that you can sustain long term, or a level of pain that's going to get easier along the way. So like a lot of people, like in the boot camp world, it's a big thing. It's like, the workouts don't get easier, you just get stronger. I hate that quote. It's the dumbest quote ever. I'm like, no, he just got lazy.
Oh my gosh.
But it's kind of like that, right? It's you need to follow a plan or a program that it's painful in the beginning, right? But then you kind of get numb to that pain and you're able to sustain it long term. It's just like you with everything you're learning. A year ago, you're probably like, this fucking sucks. And it still sucks today, but now you're just so used to it.
Yeah, I've accumulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and it's kind of the same concept as like, man, if I like flicked you, let's just say punched you, it hurt really bad. But every day, if I punched you 20 times, in a year from now, you'd be like, this is nothing. I can take these hits. Right? So
it's just reframing when you go into something new. Reframing of what that process is going to look like. Mm-hmm. So for example, I remember I just had this conversation with my wife. I was like, man, I told you before, it used to take me forever to be in the office longer than like 2 to 3 hours before I have to take a break, right? Like my brain would be maxed out, or like I'm fucking fried. I can't think. I can't stay focused anymore. I'm fucking running through my apps. I'm like waiting to listen for my kids to make a noise for me to go down there and just make sure everything's okay. Like any reason to get me out of that office because my brain could only max out this endurance piece, right? And then now, I could be in my office for 8 hours, 10 hours, 11, 12 hours. And my endurance to being there has gotten just tremendously longer because I put the repetition and the consistency in to build it. Everything is progressively overload. Like, cool, that was my max then. Now, a year later, over time, it went from 3 to 4 hours to 5 to 6 to 8 to 9 to 12 to now, depending on the situation, I can be in there all day. As long as that's the expectation of my wife. Like, hey, are you able to hold it down? I got to do this X, Y, and Z. And she gives me that green light, bro. It's give me some energy drinks, some protein bars, and lock me in. Yeah. And I'm done. Like, I can fucking just run it.
Welcome to the grind, bro.
Oh, man.
I started that when I built Facts Over Fads, which was formerly known as Take Charge. I built my first website. Yeah. And that was when I literally like could sit in the office for hours, right? I just found so much like passion, like not joy, but passion. It was fucking a miserable process.
Yeah.
Learning to build a website on your own. And I was in there for days and it wouldn't come out. Yeah. It was like every free moment I was back in the office for, again, I would go to bed at 2, 3 in the morning, wake up at 4:30 to go run a boot camp at 5, get done with the boot camp at 6:30, home and 7:30 back to the office. Yeah. And now if I leave, it's hard to leave my office now because it's like this mental checkout that I don't want. Mm-hmm. So, if like I gotta fucking eat lunch, I gotta eat dinner, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It's so hard to get myself to get out of the office.
Because you lose momentum.
Yeah. When you're in like your flow state and you're flowing and you're like, man, is this a spot where I can just like break off and come back to? It's probably no, fuck, I gotta finish it, And then it almost never finishes itself because you're like, as soon as you think you're getting close to done, you think about something different, how to make it better, how to optimize it. You're like, fuck, I gotta go down this rabbit hole.
This fucked, yeah.
And so I love it, man. It's like, I remember like building the automations for Unconquerable. I like the email sequencing of, man, it's going to send an email every other day at this time. Yeah. And then again, I was like halfway through, and then I learned a new way to do it that was better. And I fucking scratch that shit, start over,
So that part motivated you, like learning new things. I consider myself a very normal person. Learning new things is something most people don't want to do because of the complexity and the figuring out and the time and the investment and the struggles and adversity that you're going to come with not being skilled and first not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Mm-hmm. So for me, that creates a lot of resistance. That creates a big entry price for me to actually start taking action on. Because all the unknown and rabbit holes and the research and tutorials and the videos, and then actually doing it and sucking and not knowing what I just learned and relearning and trying to figure out and piece it up. For me to take action on knowing that I have a project that I don't know what to do, the price of entry is big for me.
Yeah.
That doesn't motivate me. Like, that may have motivated you. Let's get in here. Let's figure this shit out. Nah, bro. The more unknown that thing is, the higher price I have to pay mentally. And so I had to develop a strategy, because this was me when I was creating my landing pages. I was like, damn, how many videos I have to watch? And you're like, why can't you just follow the instructions? I was like, that's not the way my mind works. I got to read the instructions. I got to watch YouTube videos. I got to watch this tutorial, because that's just how I concept information. I grab information. And so it's just a big thing. And so the way I started learning how to take action on new things I'm afraid of is, I got this strategy from Alex from Rosie's, like, just start pulling the thread. Like, lower the entry price of saying just, hey, let's just watch a video. Instead of just saying, let's go out and let's do all these things, lower the entry price. Your goal is to just watch this video. And then I was like, all right, cool, let's watch this video. And then what that builds momentum. Now I just watch the next video. Now I read these instructions. Now I'm fucking, let's go to this MailChimp. Let's go to this land. Let's start. And then I just start pulling the thread. And as I start pulling the thread, I start to build the momentum, and I just get it going.
Right.
So I feel we make a great fucking selection and choice here as you and me doing this podcast, because you come from a whole different world than I do.
Yeah.
I come from a world of very normal.
I'm
very fucking. My mind
be normal.
Works like a normal person, where you don't want problems, you don't want resistance, you don't want none of it. And so, which is why I had to go so hard in learning mental performance, is because I had to learn how to bypass my fucking mind. My mind's fucking. I'm the weakest minded motherfucker there is. I tell my wife that all the time, which is why I had to go learn all the things to make it fucking strong. To just be able to move faster and get ahead. So that was a cool method. Just pull, like, either or, let it motivate you, or start just pulling the thread with small bite-sized goals of just taking that action.
A lot of it for me is like setting up my environment for success, right? So I know if I'm in the office, I'm probably going to get some work done. You know, a lot of people will sit on the couch, or they'll like distract themselves with chores. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go.
I used to do that.
I'm like, no, I'm just going to get, even if I don't work right away. Sometimes I'll get in the office, I'll play on my phone. But I know I'm going to get to work eventually, right? And I have a much higher percentage chance of getting to work if I'm in the office rather than if I get on my phone on the couch, right? And so I just insert myself in there. And then to your point, start with one thing. Turn on the computer, start somewhere, watch one video. Because it'll open your mind to where it needs to go. You know, and it'll just help you think. And I think that's the beautiful thing about, like, everyone always talks about, like, how much like education I have. It's not about the education for me. It's more about, like, it helped me think. You know, like, getting more education, having more certifications, it just helped me think. Whether that's problem solving, whether that's thinking more efficient, whether that's finding direction quicker. That's the beauty behind education, right? And learning.
It just gives you frameworks and perspectives to grab from. Because when you don't have that knowledge and you're trying to solve a problem, you're just looking at an open sea.
Right.
But when you get competent about a situation, now you know, like, there's these different frameworks, there's different perspectives that you can go into. And like, oh, this is the most likely path for me to figure out this problem. Let's start here. Versus don't have the knowledge. You look, it's just a fucking black open sea. Entry level price, millions of dollars. I'm not doing it. Right?
Well, we talked about imposter syndrome a little bit, I think, in one of the episodes. But for me, like, imposter syndrome is, I'm not good enough, so I freeze and I don't do anything, right? And so a lot of people are scared to take action because they don't think that they're good enough. I'm the opposite. I take so much action, and I create and I launch this thing that is like the best of my abilities, and I launch it. And then, of course, it fucking sucks, but it was the best that I could do in that moment. And then I learn along the way that it sucks, and other people tell me that it sucks. And then it allows me to kind of go take a deep dive and figure out other stuff or ask questions, right? So like the first website, I didn't launch the first website until I was like 100% certain it was the best that I could make it, right? Launch that motherfucker. And it worked out for some months. And then people were like, your website sucks. You know, and I started getting that feedback of your website sucks, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, oh shit, that was the feedback that I needed. Now I'm going to go hire and pay someone to make it better. And I got to work alongside him while he built it, with like picking the themes and picking the color schemes and what do you want this button to do and what do you want that button to do and you want like pictures of this and you want testimonies of that.
Yeah.
And so I got to like lean in it with him as well. And so again, I learned more and more and more to now I just get to take the same template that he made for me. And if I ever want to edit my own website, I know how, because I got to build it alongside of him. And so again, and when my coaches ask me like, hey, can we do this on the website? Can we put that on the website? I'm like, yeah, like I'll figure it out. And sometimes he's my YouTube video. He's my Google. I'll ask him, hey, I need to do X, Y, Z. He'll send me screenshots.
Those are strategies now. So that's when you start learning strategies, because it's not what, it's who.
Right.
Yep. That's like a quicker path. But as number one of entrepreneurship or just high performance in general is you use what you got and you start. And then entrepreneurship has allowed us to understand the process to be able to develop, which is it's never going to be perfect. Figure something out, put it out there, get feedback, get the failure, readjust, put it out there, get the feedback, get it better. And just that accumulation of that process. And over time, it looks nice and shiny years after, not at the very beginning stages. Example, I spent 2 years trying to grow this business, a mid-performance business. The very beginning, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be nutrition. I thought it was going to be, then it turned into just high performance habits. And then I realized that shit wasn't working. It wasn't connecting with parents or athletes. And I was like, well, okay, how I know it's mental performance, and then how can I make sure that it's for sport specifics? And then it just transformed. And it's, okay, I have this program. Let's shoot it out there. Oh, I got terrible feedback. Nobody could complete this program. It was way too hard. And I made some adjustments and put it back out there. Oh, I got like 10% completion rate, got onto something. Then I finally just trying to find somebody to put it out there to, who's like, for free, can you please just do my program? And then I finally got to the point where I was like, oh man, there's like 30-40% completion rate. That's fucking good enough. Like, look, let's roll. Yeah. But it took 2 years of just not making any money and just putting shit out there and failing over and over again to the point where now I got a system. Now let's see if I can break it with 60 plus athletes jumping in there. Yeah. And I set the expectation to the coach. I was like, hey, I never had 60 plus athletes. Let's fucking do it. Yeah. And let's see. What I do know is your kids are going to fucking learn some shit. Your kids are going to know what work ethic actually looks like. They're going to start developing it into leadership. They're going to start building their character. They're going to know what confidence actually feels like. That is the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, it's just an educational program for them to actually look and learn about high performance and mental performance. If they learned anything, it's a fucking win. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And he was like, man, yeah. But it took 2 years. Right. 2 years. 2 years. Of nothingness.
It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes.
It takes what it takes.
You know? And that's like the quick fix is I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make 6 figures in 6 months. Like, okay. You know, Alex Hormozi said, he's like, it's not going to take a week. It's not going to take a year. It might not even take 5 years. It might take more than that. Yeah. And he goes, the people who told you it wasn't going to work, they will be right every day, every time, until they're not. Yeah. And so, but if you quit, they will always be right. Right? The people who dogged on you, the people who said it's never going to work, the people who said you're crazy for leaving your job, the people who said, you know, don't be an entrepreneur, go get a 9-to-5, whatever the case may be. They will be right every time until they're not.
I think people, when they see the quick results, they need to understand that person and reframe what they've actually done. Mm-hmm. A professional, skilled person can get it done in that time frame, but you don't know all the failure they've been through before they got to that point. It's like 10 years of fucking everything up to the point where like, yeah, I could do it in 3 months. Mm-hmm.
I like the story of Matt Rife, the comedian, because we kind of just see him as his like overnight success on TikTok.
Nobody's an overnight success.
Yeah, and
nobody.
He's like, do you know how many years I spent editing my own videos, making YouTube videos, making clips, making this, making that? And he's like, no one knew my name until one day they did. Yeah. And he's like, but it took years of just, and he struggles with depression. He struggles with anxiety.
It's part of it. That's the price.
Yeah, because you're sitting alone in front of a fucking computer, doing work, putting that work out to the world. No one fucking likes it. No one views it. No one sees it.
No guarantees of fucking anything. And you have
to do it every day. Every day. It's just super wild. But again, like every successful entrepreneur or public figure will always tell you, just make the content.
Yeah.
Just make the content and put it out there.
That's
At least you get your reps in.
That's not how the mind works, though, bro. Like we want what we want what the professionals want, but we're only willing to do half the work ethic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Maybe not even half of the work ethic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just, I'm going to try this for a day or two. Oh, didn't work. I give up. Yeah. I'm like, you just have no idea, you know? And like for me in Facebook, Facebook is like my place to talk shit. And, you know, I didn't just start talking shit randomly. Like I've been on Facebook for decades, just putting out facts over fads, which now has led me to be able to have this reputation of like talking shit, right? I didn't just come out and just start calling people fat. That's like not how I started. I came out, you know, talking about science and facts and client testimonies and so on and so forth. And then now it's just gotten like a more blunt style approach. And it triggers people to interact, and interaction grows the algorithm, and the algorithm pays me. And so Facebook pays me like, I don't know, like 60, 70 bucks a month, but for shit that I was already doing, you know? And I don't have that many followers. But the more people that see it, the more people that interact with it, the more people are going to be willing to reach out to me and send me a message and be like, oh, I love your Facebook post. I really need help. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. And it's super helpful. And but I've been doing it for decades. And I think that's what people don't understand is like, like, give me decades, literally. Like I started this 10 years ago in 2014, 2015.
The correlation of how long you've been dealing with this problem, right? They're like, oh man, like 10, a decade, 15 years, 20 years. Okay, you want to solve that problem in 3 months? But that makes fucking zero sense. Mm-hmm. So we need more people to reframe what success actually looks like, which is just progressions of consistency. Mm-hmm. Like that's it. It's progressions of consistency. Yeah, you work out 2 times a week. Great. Can we go to 3? Can you become process focused and not outcome driven? That was the number one thing that flipped the switch for most of my clients that I ever worked with who saw the results, because they get emotionally attached to the results when they don't get what they want to get at a certain time period. And that's where, you know, when you get emotional, that's when things just go haywire. Mm-hmm. You just dwell and consistency goes to shit. You start eating all your fucking gains, whatever. And so it's the emotional part that you have to solve first. And you do that by teaching mental performance strategies, whether you know it or not. But all my clients, I always reframe habitual habits first. Mm-hmm. And it's not sexy. How am I going to make that the goal? I worked out 12 times this month. Man, I should be proud. Nobody like, right? Yeah. Or I lost fucking 12 pounds this month. Yeah. Man, I should be proud. But the social norm has fed result driven. But I always tell everyone, if you want to be normal, you're going to do what normal people do. You're going to get what normal people get, which is fucking nothing. Right? Average. Nothing. And then so you do have to reframe it. You have to be different. You have to think different. And that is the only way to bypass that box is you got to get the fuck out of the box. That's where all the sauce happens. All right. So it's always the opposite. They want fast. We want slow and progressive, because slow and progressive is way more faster than big and fast. Yeah. Big and fast, you're going to stall out, get there and quit. Mm-hmm. Slow and progressive, you're just going to keep fucking going, because we're not outcome driven. I'm process driven. So eventually I know if I just keep doing my steps every single day, I'm going to eventually get there. And that's a great promise to myself that I know it's like a for sure thing.
And so the slow and progressive, like if we take this in terms of like a weight loss, let's say you change one thing in your life. And that could be your step count, that could be your workout routine or your workout frequency, that could be your nutrition, that could be your protein content, that could be, I stopped eating out. I used to eat out 3 times a week, now I only eat out twice, right? Let's say that whatever that first step was that you did, you lost 5 pounds. And then it plateaus off. And everyone always says, oh, I tried, I haven't hit a plateau, so I just gave up. I'm like, no, that's part of the progression. You lost 5 pounds doing this one thing. Now do a second thing and lose another 5 pounds. Now do a third thing and then another 5 pounds. And before you know it, you'll look up and you're 20, 25 pounds down. You just changed 4 things. Yeah. You know, and it's we call it the settling point theory in the health and nutrition and weight management world. It's your summation of all the things in your environment, whether that's steps, nutrition, sleep, workouts, stress, hormones, like you're the summation of that. If you go live on a cruise ship, and I got this from Mike Isratelli, He's like, if you go live on a cruise ship for a week and now you're eating, you got 24/7 access to food and you're not working out because you're partying on a cruise ship and your alcohol intake went through the roof and your calories went through the roof, you gain 10 pounds. And if you would stay on that cruise ship, you would continuously gain 10 pounds, over and over and over again, time and time again. And he's like, so we understand it. Like everyone's like, when I go on vacation, I gain 10 pounds. Yeah, because you're settled, your environment changed.
Yeah.
Right. So we understand it when going in the wrong direction. But for whatever reason, there's a missing link with going in the right direction. You have to change something. Oh, you're a midnight snacker. Stop snacking. Bro, you're so
Shit,
popular.
I'm on silent. It's weird. I'm on pilot mode.
But
Apple
he's like,
for you.
it sucks. I tell y'all, Apple sucks. But he's like, yeah, so if you're a midnight snacker, just stop snacking. He's like, if you get 3 workouts in a week, get 4. If you only have an average of 4,000 steps a day, get 5,000 steps a day. If you get 4 hours of sleep a night, get 5 hours of sleep a night. Just change one thing.
So what's the common theme? It's mindset. Mindset will always be the thing that stops you from progressing forward.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't learn, which is why I value education, just constant education and growth in some sort of fashion. Your brain needs novelty. Put your brain on the diet. We had that podcast. Put your brain on the diet. Get the information, because that's what's fucking stopping you. It's not the plan. The plan works. All right, even the stupidest plans work.
Yeah.
All right,
They all work.
They all work.
Something.
Every fucking plan works with the one special ingredient of consistency.
Yep.
Like that's it, bro. And what stops consistency is your shitty fucking mindset. Like 100%, you have no control of your feelings, all right, which controls your mindset, which dictates your actions, and then you go off the rails. Man, if you can just learn to problem solve that piece first, you would change your entire life.
Was it like tons of people do keto, right? They do keto, they lose 20 pounds. And then everyone's like, well, I got stuck, so then I just stopped doing keto. And I'm like, so here's what really happened. You cut your calories down by about 1,000 a day.
50%.
By just like removing carbs altogether. And you lost a shit ton of weight. That was your new settling point. Like this was your new normal. Yeah. And so your weight loss plateaued. And instead of adding something else, like maybe, hey, I'm going to keep doing my keto, but I'm going to add in more steps, add in more exercise, add in more sleep, whatever the case may be. You just went right back to adding 1,000 calories back into your diet.
Shit didn't work. I plateaued.
And you gained the 20 pounds, 25 pounds back.
Yeah.
Because often when we give up, when someone throws in the towel, we rebound like 10 times in the wrong direction. Like, fuck it, this diet didn't work. I'm going to Chick-fil-A. I'm adding back in alcohol. I'm snacking on chips and salsa. Like, I'm doing all this shit tenfold from what I was used to. And that's why we gain back the 25 pounds, the 30. We normally, people who lose weight, they normally gain back about 110% of their body weight lost.
What do you think the most important skill is a human person needs to be able to succeed? Like a skill. What's the most important skill?
Perseverance. That's a good word.
Perseverance?
Yeah. It's just the ability to just go and go and go and go and not give up.
No, eventually that shit will work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Eventually that shit will work because you're consistent.
Yeah. That's all it is. You just never gave up.
I was thinking about this as we're in the new year, about 2 weeks in. I was like, what stops most people is their inability to problem solve. I think problem solving is a skill.
We just talked about that.
Right? Problem solving is a skill. And so what happens is shit is working, then it stops, and their inability to problem solve. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think because, I always start with mindset, the reason why they can't progress is because they view problems as a negative, right? It's socially normal to, why do I always have all these problems, right? Problems are not good. But a growth mindset views problems as opportunities. If I solve this problem, I advance to the next level. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now you're like driven for problems. So now I'm seeking problems.
Yeah.
And I just heard a quote by, I don't know if it was Jeff Bezos or if it was Elon, some master.
Some cajillionaire.
Yeah. And
probably me.
He's like, you know what? There's just 2 types of people in the way they view their problems. He's like, high-performing individuals view problems as opportunities. And so when you view it that way, problems are just opportunities disguised in work clothes. Mm-hmm. So you don't have problems. You just have work to do.
Oh.
You just have work to do.
I like that. Yeah.
Like you, and that's like easy. He's like, the problems is there's just more work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
let's go figure it out.
I think the problem with problem solving is once you solve the problem, you have to maintain that level of whatever it was. Whatever that problem you solved that kind of took you to the next level, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
So your ability to slack off kind of gets less and less and less because you have to uphold this higher standard. And so we were talking about dating, right? And when you approach a problem and you work through it and you find a solution, you have to now attack that solution and maintain this new level of whatever it was that was agreed upon.
Yeah.
And so whether it was a communication skill, whether it was a time management skill, whether it was an empathy skill, whether it was a love skill, whatever it is, you can't go back to the old you.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary for a lot of people. It's like, and this is why I talk to people about, I'm starting to reframe like my coaching conversations in terms of decades. And I'm like, give me a decade of exercising consistently. Give me a decade of hitting your protein goal. Give me a decade of hitting your water goal. Because people look for means to an end.
Yeah.
Like they just, I'm going to hit my protein. I'm going to work out. I'm going to drink my water until I lose 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you lose 20 pounds? You just kind of like give up. And so it's not about the results. It's about the process.
Yeah.
And so if I can reframe your mind to say, even when I lose 20 pounds, I'm still going to work out. I'm still going to hit my protein goal. I'm still going to drink all my water. It kind of makes a little bit more sense for why we always rebound in the wrong direction. Because people cross the finish line and they quit, which is why I don't like 75 hard. Because on day 76, you fuck it all up. You completely let go of everything you've done. And I know there's like levels to 75
and
hard.
Progressions, which is great.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, I hated it too. I was like, dude, everyone fucks themselves over 76 day.
Day 76, they just fucking completely quit. I'm like, you've been waking up how early for 75 days?
Just to go back.
You've been working out twice a day for 75 days. You've been drinking a gallon of water for 7. You've been reading a book for 75 days. You've been doing all this shit. You lost 20 pounds in 75 days. And on day 76, you sleep in, you skip your workouts, you don't drink water, you
go
don't
back
read
to your day
book.
one version.
You like, what the fuck?
Well,
yeah.
My other problems with 75 hard is just the level of progression that happens so fast in your life, which is a lot of the times unbearable.
Bro, let's create a new program, business idea, bro. It's not going to be called 75 hard. It's going to be called Forever Hard.
Forever. Oh,
Forever
shit.
hard.
I like that. But it has to be, so one thing about the mind and understanding it, it has to be progressively overloaded correctly, which is why everyone fucks themselves over because they do this extreme fucking shit. And your mind and your routine and just the level of standards you have to create, it's a lot of resistance. And that's very not normal to your old self. And so you can only willpower your way through 4 to 6 weeks, which is why willpower doesn't last. It cuts off. Right? You did too much because you wanted things too fast. And it does not work like that. It has to be progressively tiered over time. And that's why I built my program to teach the next generation how to win through a progressive tier of work ethic, process driven. Fuck your outcome, right? Process driven. All right, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And then the length that we're actually doing the extra work, 30 minutes, 1 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Like it is fucking all strategically built through systems of learning, of education about the mind and how it needs just to be whatever goal that you have. Just it needs to be, the Goldilocks rule is 4% out of your comfort zone. That means whatever thing you're trying to achieve, if it's just 4% out of your comfort zone, it's right there in front of you where you can kind of tip it, which drives motivation. I'm just right here, but it's enough to get you out of your comfort zone for growth. You put that bitch 50% out there, it's very defeating that I'm fucking losing all the time. And then you look up and you're still 50% away. And then you got to play mind games with yourself. Right? So mindset, once again, will which in 75 hours, they teach you mindset. Well, hopefully you're doing some kind of development that can help you understand that at the top of one fucking goal is the bottom of the next. And that it has to be progressively, whatever you were doing to get there, now you have to go higher in your work ethic. You can't fucking back off.
You can't go back. That's the thing. Is like you can't go back, and that's the problem with problem solving. Like once you solve the problem, you can't go back.
Can you learn that though through education? Because I like what you said is like I knew about it, but I didn't learn this into the hard way. I had to experience this.
I think you have to. It's basically definitely dependent on the person, right? But let's say you're failing a class in school, and you have to double and triple down on your studies to pass the class. In reality, once you pass that class, most people stop doubling and tripling down. Like, oh, I passed the class, I'm good. On to the next class, right? And then that cycle continues. You're like, oh, I failed. All right, let's double down for a short period of time. Pass. All right, I'm failing. All right, and it's this vicious cycle where if you would just keep the momentum at a hey, I'm going to study, I'm going to double down, I'm going to triple down on my studies from day one, you would never put yourself in a failing situation. Because what it took to get to this one is what it's going to take to get to the next one, and you have to grow and develop and pivot. And so, I think studies can do that, or being in education can do that, or it also could do the opposite. It could create this toxic cycle of try really, really hard just to get by and then stop. And then try really, really hard just to get by and then just stop. No one maintains that level of intensity.
I call it the side effects of winning.
We talked about that. The weight of gold
is when you win. Obviously, I had to learn this lesson the hard way because I didn't win a whole lot early on. Like I didn't have any success in anything that I did until I got my first big success, which was creating the franchise. Mm-hmm. And the pain of not knowing how to handle winning, I went, and we spoke about this, is when I was winning in the franchise, I stopped doing all the work that it took to get there. Mm-hmm. What created 18 hours to create this franchise for over 5 years. And then I started doing 18 hours of work, not in a day, but now a week. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it caused so much fucking comfort that I was doing shit that I shouldn't even fucking been doing, like fucking playing basketball for 4 hours in the middle of the day with people who are retired, who've already fucking made it, and I'm acting as if. Right. Yeah. And
I just listened to that episode.
And I lost everything.
You're like, I'm living like I'm retired, bro.
Yeah.
I'm playing basketball in the middle of the day.
And I call that the side effects of winning, because it's really hard to increase your level of work ethic when you're winning. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the biggest struggles we have with high school athletes who are just talented. Like they don't have no work ethic. They're just naturally bigger, stronger, faster from God-given abilities and from genetics that their parents were built like athletes. Mm-hmm. And so those athletes, why would they want to do the extra work? It makes no sense. I'm beating you. You're doing all the extra work. I'm still beating you. Yeah. Why would the fuck what I want to do extra work? So it's really hard to change in comfort. Right. So then they get to the next level and have the conversation with that coach. He's like, man, we have a problem. And I feel like this is going to help me solve this problem. He's like, I did studies of all my athletes who went to go play D1. And you know how many % that lasted in D1? None. They all went to the next level and got cut. And he's like, I started to like think about it. He's like, they never knew how to do the extra work. Those were always my athletes who just showed up and did the regular stuff. And so when they get exposed to the next level and how they're dogs out there and they're riding the bench and they don't know how to do the extra work, they can't handle it mentally. Yep. And he's like, what you're going to do is you're going to punch them right now, expose them. And then they're going to learn either to, do I want to do this? Do I want to get there? Do I want to do that work ethic or not? Yep. That's a good thing to have early on. Right? Can you figure that out now, or instead of waiting to get punched in the face and now serious results are happening, you lost your scholarship, you lost everything, you have no education, or let's learn this now.
And you ruin that opportunity, right?
You ruin, yeah.
Like this is where like work ethic can, like, even if it's again the wrong plan in the wrong direction. If you have work ethic and you have intensity and you have the discipline to just keep going, when the opportunity presents itself, perseverance. When the opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready. But when the opportunity presents itself and you haven't done that stuff, you're not ready. You get cut. You get exposed really fast. You're not as good as you thought you were.
And I got this frame of whenever you just do the preparation and the work, opportunities are everywhere. I see it as a lane. There's all these lanes in the air. And there's opportunities literally everywhere. Yeah. And the level of preparation, the higher opportunities are up here. They're higher, right? The higher leverage opportunities, the ones that you want, they're above your head. Yeah. In order for you to be able to reach those, because they're happening right now, somebody's taking these opportunities that are just right passing your head, just going above it. And in order for you to actually see them, you have to build a work ethic and that preparation to raise yourself high enough to be like, oh, here's the opportunity. It's been there the entire time. You just couldn't see it because your preparation is so low. Right. And so when you create that level of preparation, people think it's right. What's that quote that it's not luck? The luck and preparation quote, what is it? God, come on, Joseph. Jeez. Luck and preparation. Oh, man. Anyways, I don't believe in luck. I believe in preparation creates opportunity.
For sure.
Right? Preparation creates opportunity.
Show up every day.
And that's all you're doing is somebody who's doing work is getting that opportunity and you're not doing the work, you can't reach it. But whenever you start doing the work, what you do, the opportunity, it's been there, but now you're able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the work ethic, bro.
Yeah. And a lot of people just don't have it. But we have a question. So on our episode 6s, we'll do a Q&A, whether it's a Q&A between you and me or a Q&A from like our clients. But this is funny, and this comes with like experience, and this comes with humility, and we have an episode on humility and ego. But the question is what is the biggest thing you struggle with in terms of your health and fitness, and how do you help a client who comes to you with the same struggle? And so, again, this comes with experience, and it comes with humility. And so you have to first understand like what your weaknesses are.
Mhm.
That's number one. And then you have to be willing to learn. And then you have to be willing to open up yourself and be vulnerable with your clients to also help them learn. And I always tell people goals and pursuits, they love community, right? It's hard to do it alone. And so the more community and connection you can create with other people, the better, the more successful I think everyone will be. And so, and you can answer it after me, but probably the biggest thing that I struggle with in terms of my health and fitness is intensity. I'm a go, 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 go. I always tell, like, people are like, Joseph, what do you do for your workouts? I'm like, you don't want to know. You just don't want to know. The other day I did 10 sets of squats, working my way all the way up to 450.
I hate your workouts.
10 sets. People are like, well, whatever happened to 3 sets or 4 sets or maybe 5? I'm like, I did 10.
No.
I'm like, I don't know to tell you. I did 10. And sometimes I'll only do 3 exercises because I did so much volume of those one exercise. And for me, and I was I have a young athlete right now as well. And I was like, man, if you're really loving bench press, who am I to tell you to only do 3 sets of bench press and then you go get demotivated on your next exercise?
Yeah.
And you half-ass the next exercise because you were really feeling and you were strong and you like bench and all this stuff. And then you're just like, well, my coach told me I can only do 3 sets. And so now I need to go to flies. But I don't even like flies, but I got to do them. And so you half-ass it. And I'm like, we really could have, I'm not saying don't do flies. I'm just saying optimize bench more.
There's a fucking word or a quote about optimal is not always the best. And I used to always say when I was back into my nutrition, because optimal may not always be the best, because if you don't like it and you don't do it, it's not optimal.
Right. It has to be the thing you like.
Yeah, like you fucking have to be consistent in it. Yeah. So I don't care how perfect that plan was. If you don't like doing it.
Well, it makes sense in terms of like running, right? People are like, well, how do I get better at running? And I'm like, run. No one's like, oh, I need to get better at running. Okay, I need to go squat. I'm like, no, you probably should just go run.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I need to get better at running. I'm going to go sit in a cold plunge.
Well, specificity.
Right? The rules of specificity, right? Absolutely. If I want a stronger squat, I should probably squat.
More.
If I want a better bench press, I should probably bench press. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying avoid the other stuff, but you need to spend more time doing in that direction that you're doing. And again, like my level of intensity, like I don't need 8 exercises per muscle group. I need like 3. And I'm going to do 8 to 10 sets of those 3. And my volume is still going to crush your volume because you're doing 8 sets of 3 and I'm doing 3 sets of 10 or 3 exercises for 10 sets. Number 1. Number 2, with intensity, I don't give a fuck about your rep range. Don't give a fuck. Like I pick up a weight, it's light, I'm doing 50 reps. I pick up a weight, it's heavy, I'm doing 4. You know, I almost never 1 rep max, but I'll get down into 3 and 4 reps as heavy as possible. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll do a drop set. Like the other day I was shoulder pressing 100-pound dumbbells.
God, my shoulders hurt.
And my left shoulder's fucked. I told my workout buddy and the girl that was with us, I was like, my shoulder fucking hurts. And both of them were like, well, don't do it. And I was like, fuck you. Tell me what you do. So I did 1 set for 5. I did 1 set for 6, and I did another set for 5. Yeah. With the hundreds, right? But on that last set for 5, I did the hundreds for 5, dropped them, picked up the 80s, did another set, dropped them, picked up the 60s, did another set with no break. And at the end of that hard set, I did like 25 or 30 reps total.
That's the way you like to train, though.
It's fucking nasty. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just hard. And it's just fucking hard. And so I think the biggest thing I struggle with in terms of health and fitness is that intensity because like I have injuries and I hurt.
So I would tell you, from being on the outside looking in, the biggest thing you struggle with is your inability to fucking recover and work on your mobility and flexibility.
I know.
Because
I
if
don't
you
have
just
time
did that,
I don't have time to do recovery, baby. I'm too busy doing 10 sets of squats.
so once again, so that leads into what mine is. My biggest struggle when it comes to health and fitness is my priority shift. All right, I can go in season, well, I'll crush it. Fitness, nutrition, get super disciplined, get super jacked. But then I'm also have to remember trying to start and grow a business, and it's seasonal. Mm-hmm. There's going to be seasons where this thing is coming up, and if I'm not prepared for it, I'm going to miss my opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so my fitness and nutrition journey will always go into getting shredded as fit as fucking possible to barely over maintenance. And then shredded as fit as possible, and then barely over maintenance. I've never been able to consistently, at this point in my career or life, to stay fit, shredded, whatever. Because trying to grow a business is the journey of 5-10 years, all right, starting from scratch. And so right now, this past week, my workouts have literally been like 10 to 15 minutes of mobility, flexibility training, maybe one circuit of 4 exercises for like 10 to 12 reps, 2 sets. And I'm out in 30 minutes because priorities, big event coming. If I'm not fully prepared for this, then I'm going to miss my opportunity. So then I go back into the office, and nutrition doesn't even matter right now. Yeah. Like, I'm just eating a protein bar, and if my wife brings me something, let's go. Like, the only thing is, and this is what you have to be very honest with yourself. Some of my clients, let's be honest, when I was a nutrition coach, let's be honest, is this a season where you can focus? Yeah. Like, what's your biggest pain point? Mm-hmm. You're coming to me for nutrition, but your biggest pain point is you're about to be in a divorce. Mm-hmm. Like, yo, can you be honest? This is why vulnerability is a skill of high-performing people, because they just know how to, one, recognize what the most important thing is, prioritize it, and execute it. And so they move along much faster because they're not wasting time solving the wrong things that don't fucking matter, right? And so that has been my biggest struggle, is just the inconsistent of my high performance in my fitness and nutrition. But I'm willing to sacrifice and suffer that because I'm honest with myself of like, nope, business is way more of a priority than this right now.
Love it. And a lot of people can't really do that either. I think a lot of people, they beat themselves up due to the season that they're in. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I gained 10 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe you look at how much you have to work, or look at what your family's going through, or look at whatever. Like, you have to be willing to, there's no, I think Alex Hormozi says it. And he says, there's no wins, there's only trade-offs. Mm-hmm. Is it wins? Is the word wins? There's no something, there's only trade-offs, right? And so, like, if you think you're going to get ahead in business, your health is going to take a hit. Yeah. If you think you're going to get ahead in health, your relationships might take a hit, right? There's only trade-offs. Yeah. You can't have everything. And I think a lot of people think that they can. And so having a coach or having a mentor or some sort of level-headed guidance, you realize, like, oh, I'm in this season. And so since I'm in this season, this stuff over here takes a back seat. And it doesn't necessarily, don't forget about it, right? Like, you're like, hey, like, my workouts are 30 minutes. They used to be an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. Like, we didn't stop working out. Yeah. We just put less time and energy and effort into it because we have these other priorities over here. So the next question is, how do you help a client who comes to you with the same struggles? So I guess fortunately for me, I understand that the way that I do things in the gym is not the smartest. So I can talk through personal experience of, hey, you're really, like, if you come to me and you're just super intense and you're just like me and you're also injured just like me, I can talk through it of what you're saying. Hey, let's do some mobility. Let's do some stretching. And luckily, like, people will follow, like, the guidance, right? Because you're paying for a coach. Hopefully you listen somewhat. And so if I say, hey, 15 minutes before every workout, I need you to do X, Y, Z. Or 15 minutes after your workout, I need you to do X, Y, Z. Or you're training 5 times a week. Instead of not doing anything on your other 2 days, those are your 2 days to do mobility, recovery, yoga, sauna, whatever the case, stretching, whatever the case may be. And let's now just, again, on those days off, let's plug stuff in. Or again, if you got 15 extra minutes, let's plug stuff in. However we get there, we get there.
Yeah.
Or you can have a bulging disc in your back like me, and you can have a fucked up shoulder, and you can have a fucked up forearm, and you can have a fucked up elbow. Like, take your pick.
Yeah.
You know, I'm super stubborn. I know exactly what to do, and I don't want to do it.
So, I mean, that's you choosing.
It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Like, same thing that I asked you, like, what is the priority?
Mhm.
I value my type of training over my body right now.
Yep.
That's your personal choice.
It's more mentally motivating for me to go in and fight through pain than it would be to be weaker but pain-free. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd rather be stronger and in pain
Yeah.
than weaker and pain-free.
Shoes are poison.
Yeah.
Shoes are poison. Everything's
Yeah.
poisonous. I'm on the opposite end because I've been in your stage from 26.
You're older, so I have years to catch up, actually.
26 to 30. I went into power building. I fucking maxed out and I did hours of just squatting. Like literally, I went on a plan of squat every day. Fucking every day we squat. We spent 45 minutes to an hour just on squats every day. And I jacked myself up to the point where my body was like, fuck you, dude. And to the pain where I was in so much pain that I hated it. Pain causes change. And I shifted into the opposite direction. I much rather enjoy doing 30, 45 minutes of mobility and flexibility and then getting a fucking pump in the gym. But now I'm into the point, I'm transitioning again to like getting that little urge of wanting to be an athlete, right? Because I'm training athletes, getting that fucking urge of like, no, bro, I'm still fucking out here jumping higher than you. Like, it's just the competition to me, right? Outwork me. And so I'm here jumping around and I'm here working on stability and mobility and I'm working on my quick fit. Like I'm doing all the things that they're going to be doing just to prove a point to ensure them like, listen, I'm 36 and there's no way you can bypass me. And I'm not even a fucking athlete, like professional, right? So put that into the framework. But how I would help somebody in my situation is I would reset the mental bar for them of their standard because what their situation is, man, I'm not following, I'm upset, I can't figure out how to follow this plan or execute your plan. I also have these other things going on, X, Y, and Z. And it's like your bar you set is just way too high where you have a lose-lose situation. We need to mentally, there's just mind games. We need to mentally reset your bar, what that looks like so you can win. And you need to go more of a maintenance phase. Let's lower your intensity and your frequency into your workout plan. All right, instead of 5 days a week, let's go to 3. All right, because also we have to make room for whatever actually is the main focus. And that even if that your main focus isn't what I'm trying to provide you, if your main focus is somewhere else in your life, I have to help you create time for that. All right, so let's lower the standard here so you can actually win. Oh, my goal is just 3 times a week now, and you do it. Now it's a mental win. You feel better, right? Because we lower the standard. But now we created time for you to do the most important thing in your life, which is causing you the most pain. And now you feel like you're inching towards that, and you see progression in your life. And that creates momentum all over again.
I think so for me, first of all, from an educational standpoint and from a research standpoint, 3 days a week is all you need. 3 days a week of fitness is all you need for maintenance. And you can get in, if you're getting in enough volume, you can get in a hypertrophy phase and you can even get stronger with 3 days a week. So the research is there. It says, hey, if all you have is 3 days a week, that's enough to either not go back in the wrong direction or even make a little bit of progress if it's structured appropriately and you're getting enough volume. I would never work out 3 days a week. I would kill myself mentally if I worked out 3 days a week.
My standard's too high.
It's not even that. It's just that on the days that I don't like, it's like you have to convince me to take a rest day.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the difference between them and me. It's like you have to figure out a way for me to take a day off.
I was on the coaching call with those 3 clients on Unconquerable. So we had that challenge going on. And I was like, listen, sometimes we set the bar a little too high where it can get a little mentally just defeating the entire time. Like you can get 90% of your work done and still feel like you didn't get enough done. And that can almost become a red flag because you're constantly losing and your mind can't take constantly losing too long, right? And I was like, when you get to that season, and when it only becomes a problem, because if you get like all your lists done, you got your workout routine, you did something for your future, you got your learning in, like you got your emails, you prepared some way or other, doing the extra work, and you got 90% of it done, and you still feel like a loser. When you feel that way, when you get to that point, 'cause you're gonna feel great for a while, but then your set point's gonna change, or that 10% that you didn't do is the most important thing that you keep avoiding. And I was like, sometimes you have to flip the script, because sometimes it's the 10%. And I told this analogy, when you're 90% there, you're only halfway there. That other 10% is probably the hardest thing that you want to do, which is why you keep avoiding it, and it stays there. And every single day that you don't do it, when you lay your head at night, is another day that you fucking skipped it. It was another day, and it only gets heavier. So even when you hit that 90% of you did everything, if you don't tackle that fucking ugly big ass frog, that most important thing, that audacious thing, audacious thing, you have to flip the script. Only when you get to that 90% and you're unhappy, you need to do the 10% first. Because if you did the 10% first and that's all you did and you didn't do the other 90, you'd feel super accomplished. So know that set point, because I had gotten to that set point when I stopped doing my wake up and I just do a little 20-minute little here. Like, that wasn't my bar. My bar is 2 to 3, 4 hours. Now I just come in here, wake my body up, mobility, do some fucking reps, and then I'm in the office. Because that is the only thing that matters. Nothing else. I don't even need to eat right now. But it was just a mental game to reshift on what's the most important thing, so I can start winning mentally.
And that's my thing with workouts and intensity. I have to win mentally that way, because again, like, I'm not a very confident person. I'm not even a very secure person. But for whatever the reason, being in the gym, and again, this has come from 2 decades worth of consistency. Like, very few people will shoulder press the 100-pound dumbbells. And so it's just this weird ego sense of pride. Very few people can squat 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates. And so it's just this weird ego thing that helps me be more confident for the rest of the day. It just puts me in a frame of mind that allows me to be successful in other areas. And if you take that away from me, I will also struggle in the other areas. I don't get the same sense of pride of like, oh, my business is crushing it, but like mentally and physically, I know I'm weak. You know what I mean? So I have to be mentally and physically strong in order for me to find joy in all of the other things that I accomplish.
I had to reset my belief systems, because I was that guy. Bro, I fucking loved it when I do. And I'm a little dude, so I loved outlifting motherfuckers your size. Bro, it was, I intentionally wanted to squat next to you so I could put 4 plates on there.
I do that sometimes.
Like, I loved it, because there's a difference. I'm a small dude. And so me knowing that I'm squatting way more than you, you just smell it. It tastes amazing, bro. And so I had to reframe how my belief system was on what my ego was. I just reframed it. And then now the reframe when I go in there is I'm like this undercover fucking monster, right? Like, you don't want to fuck with me. Like, I like, it's just a mind game. It's reframed, like, motherfucker.
But it sets you up for success. And this is why, like, you have to find the thing that provides you the most joy and the most confidence and the most security, and then allow that to flood into the other areas of your life. Because if you let go of that thing to go be successful in another arena, even if you need it, even if it's business, you're like, I fucking need this paycheck. Like, I need to go balls deep over here and work. But you lost yourself from a health and a fitness and a mental standpoint. Even when you get the paycheck, it's still not going to feel as good as if you hadn't lost that thing. And so again, it's how do we balance? What's the balance look like?
So 1, I don't believe in balance, bro. I believe in harmonizing. I believe that the seasons, and I do believe that you can fucking take control of maybe 3 arenas in your life, right? I do believe there's going to be a point where I'm crushing business and fitness and family, right? But right now, at the early stages, awareness and vulnerability, you are not good or skilled right now. So you haven't earned your what is it in basketball? Oh, you haven't earned your triple double, all right? And that's what I want. I want to live a triple double life. Like, I want to be able to max out different arenas at the same time, but but I have to be super self-awareness, and I'm just not skilled yet to be able to master all three. My skill level and high performance level, I'm able to master one at a time, which I'm very seasonal. And then eventually my progressive and my skills will change to where now I'm going to be able to master, hey, business, family, fitness. Like I'll be able to expand as my skills get better, which is why I love entrepreneurship, because it's just a game of fucking skills and progression. And eventually I can be like a Nick Bear, where I have the business, I'm crushing my fitness, I'm crushing other things in markets. It's just because his skill over time has just grown.
Well, you grow your business to a point to where you can hire people to help.
Yeah, you start delegating.
And then you delegate tasks, which buys up your free
But that's
time.
still a skill, knowing how to create systems to automate all your shit where you can buy your time back. So I am sacrificing, because you have to be super aware when you're achieving something that only 10% of the people can actually achieve, you're going to pay the fucking price. And you're either going to sacrifice and suffer now and choose it, or you're going to sacrifice and suffer when it's not an option anymore. It's a mandatory thing, right? No, there's a better way to fucking say it. Choose it now, or pay it because you have to later. It's just a tax. I'm paying all my taxes up front and choosing to, versus having to pay them later on, and that there's no reward at the back end. That's the only difference that I'm choosing.
And that's the whole like choose your hard, right? So right now it's hard to work out. It's hard to be sore. It's hard to be in pain. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to be motivated. It's hard to sit in front of the computer for 8 hours. Like, but you can choose it right now and be like, hey, I know it sucks. I know it's hard. I'm going to do it anyway. Or we can go bankrupt and we can lose our health and we can lose our fitness, and it's going to be fucking very hard then. But now you don't have a choice.
One has a reward.
Yeah. You did it voluntarily.
When you choose it voluntarily, there's a reward after. When you don't choose it, it will make you pay the fucking sacrifice and pain, and there is no guarantee of any reward over there. All right, that is a forever pain and suffering. The only time you get reward is when you actually get to choose the pain and suffering. You either pay it now or you pay it at the back end. And I would always choose, and what I'm teaching my children, hey, motherfucker, you got to pay that shit now. All right, don't listen to you enjoy being a kid. All right, learn to become a fucking man. All right, because you're either going to pay it in your 20s and be super fucking well off, or you're going to pay it in your 30s wishing you didn't fucking waste your 20s.
Well, it's like Alex Hormozi says, and last thing we can jump off there, he says, you can either have a live it up 20s or you can have a work it up 20s. Right? He's like, but the live it up wasn't really what you wanted anyway. It was like your boys or your friends or your social group, like almost forcing you and pressuring you to live it up. And then you get to your 30s and you have nothing, or you work it up in your 20s and you lose those friends and you lose that stuff. But at least now you have the growth or the income or whatever the case may be in your 30s to now you can go live it up in your 30s, right? You've already done the work. You chose to put in the work early. But if you live it up in your 20s, you're going to be forced to probably work for the rest of your life because you never did it in your 20s. And so...
And what are we promoting? To live it up? Partying?
That's it.
Like, what are we fucking promoting?
Yeah. And I talk about that too. Like a lot of times when we get promoted or when we achieve something in life, we reward ourselves with negative shit. And this whole like YOLO mindset, it's not like, oh, YOLO, so I should be really, really healthy and fit. Or YOLO, I should be really, really successful and build a business. Or YOLO, I should really work on that promotion. Or YOLO, I should build a stronger family dynamic. It's always YOLO, go party. YOLO, go get drunk. YOLO, let's do drugs. YOLO, let's eat like shit. YOLO, it's like, what are you living it up for?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, it's just wild to me. It's just wild. It's always a negative. I don't understand.
Neither. All right, guys, if you found some value, if you got some insight, I'm going to ask you to share the show with somebody and let's make an impact. Let's grow this. Let's get more people into listening to our podcast, jumping into our community, which is Unconquerable, joining on the challenges and transforming your life. We need your help. So go ahead and do that, because if you're not, then you're working to keep up. And that's not what we do here. So
work to keep up.
Don't work to keep up. Work to separate.